Sasha's shocking return. Family secrets explode at the Quartermain mansion. The residents of Port Charles are about to witness one of the most explosive family revelations in General Hospital history. After months away from the canvas, Sasha Gilmore is set to make a triumphant return that will shake the very foundations of several prominent families. What she discovers during her time away will not only reunite her with the love of her life, but potentially expose crimes that have been festering in the shadows. When Sasha left Port Charles in July with baby Daisy, it was out of fear for her daughter's safety. Someone had been playing dangerous games with the infant, moving her from her crib to her bassinet in what will not appear to be threatening messages. While everyone suspected mob connections due to Michael being Daisy's father, the truth was far more sinister and personal. The search for truth leads home. During her time away, Sasha didn't simply hide and wait for danger to pass. Instead, she embarked on a journey of self-discovery that would uncover shocking family connections. Using the resources available to her through her parents Holly Sutton and Robert Scorpio, Sasha began investigating her own family history. What started as a simple genealogy search became something much more profound when certain clues began pointing toward Port Charles, specifically toward the Quartermain family. The investigation took an unexpected turn when Sasha discovered documents and correspondence that suggested a connection to someone already embedded in the Quartermain household. Medical records, birth certificates, and adoption papers that had been sealed for decades suddenly became accessible through Robert's WSB contacts. The trail led directly back to Port Charles and to a woman who had recently arrived claiming to be Monica Quartermain's long-lost sister. A shocking confrontation at the mansion. Sasha's return to Port Charles isn't announced with fanfare. Instead, she arrives quietly and heads directly to the Quartermain mansion, where she knows she'll find the answers she's been seeking. The timing couldn't be more dramatic. The family is still reeling from Monica's death and the shocking revelation that Ronnie Bard inherited the family estate. When Sasha walks into the Quartermain living room, the assembled family members are stunned. Jason Morgan, who helped her leave town safely, is the first to recover from the shock. "Sasha, what are you doing here? Is Daisy safe?" he asks, immediately concerned about potential threats. But Sasha's demeanor is different now. There's a steely determination in her eyes as she looks around the room at Tracy, Brooklyn, and the others. "I'm here because I found something. Something that changes everything we thought we knew about family connections in this town." Tracy, ever the skeptical matriarch, narrows her eyes. "What are you talking about, dear? This isn't the time for dramatics." Sasha pulls out a folder of documents and DNA test results. "I'm talking about the fact that Ronnie Bard isn't who she claims to be. She's not Monica's sister." The room falls silent as the implications begin to sink in. "That's impossible," Brooklyn protests. "Monica left her the house. She had letters. The letters were real." Sasha continues, her voice growing stronger. "But they weren't from Monica. And Ronnie is Monica's sister. She's my biological mother." The truth about Ronnie's identity. The revelation hits the room like a thunderbolt. Sasha explains how her investigation uncovered the elaborate deception that brought Ronnie to Port Charles. The woman everyone knows as Veronica Bard had been searching for the daughter she gave up for adoption decades ago. When she learned that Sasha was in Port Charles, connected to the Quartermain family through Michael, she saw an opportunity. "She created the Monica sister story as a way to get close to me," Sasha reveals. "The letters, the inheritance, it was all part of an elaborate plan to reconnect with me without revealing the truth about our relationship." Jason processes this information quickly. "So Monica never changed her will?" Monica's real will left everything to Michael, just as Tracy expected. Sasha confirms. Ronnie had help from someone with access to Monica's legal documents, someone who wanted to see the family torn apart. The pieces begin falling into place for Tracy. Her suspicions about the will, about Ronnie's convenient timing, about the whole situation, they were all justified. Willow's web of lies unravels. As the family struggles to process Sasha's revelation about Ronnie, another bombshell drops. Sasha's investigation didn't just uncover her own family history, It also revealed the truth about who had been threatening baby Daisy. "I know who was moving Daisy around," Sasha announces. "It was Willow." The accusation hangs in the air as Sasha explains how her investigation revealed Willow's increasingly desperate behavior. Faced with losing custody of Wiley and Amelia, and watching Michael potentially reunite with Sasha, Willow had resorted to psychological warfare. "She was trying to make me afraid, to make me leave town so she could have Michael to herself," Sasha continues. "But it backfired when I actually did leave with Daisy." Michael, who has been standing in stunned silence, finally speaks. "Willow did what?" "She put Daisy in danger." The revelation about Willow's actions provides the final piece of evidence that law enforcement needs. With Sasha's testimony and the evidence she gathered during her investigation, Willow's carefully constructed alibis begin to crumble. A family reunited, despite the chaos and revelations swirling around them, Sasha and Michael find themselves drawn back together. The shared experience of protecting their daughter, combined with the truth about Willow's manipulation, creates a foundation for rebuilding their relationship. "We've both been through so much," Michael tells Sasha as they step aside from the family drama. "But seeing you walk back in here, knowing you were out there fighting to protect Daisy and uncover the truth, it reminds me why I fell in love with you in the first place." Sasha looks at the man who fathered her child, seeing past the anger and pain that had driven them apart. Daisy deserves to have both her parents in her life, not just co-parenting from a distance, but really being a family. The prospect of Michael and Sasha reuniting brings joy to the Quartermain family, who have watched Michael struggle through his marriage to Willow and the subsequent custody battle. Tracy, despite her usual reserve, can't hide her approval. "That child needs stability," Tracy declares, "and if you two can provide that together, then that's what should happen." The aftermath and new beginnings. As the dust settles from Sasha's revelations, Port Charles finds itself fundamentally changed. Ronnie's deception is exposed, but her genuine desire to connect with her biological daughter creates a complex emotional situation. Rather than face criminal charges, she agrees to return Monica's estate to its rightful heir while maintaining a relationship with Sasha as her mother. Willow's crimes can no longer be hidden. The evidence of her psychological manipulation of Sasha, combined with her potential involvement in Drew's shooting, leads to her arrest. The custody battle that has consumed so much energy is finally resolved, with Michael gaining full custody of Wiley and Amelia. For Sasha, Michael, and baby Daisy, the future suddenly looks brighter. They've been through betrayal, separation, and danger, but they've emerged stronger and more committed to building a life together. "We're not just co-parents anymore," Michael tells Sasha as they plan their reunion. "We're a family, and this time, nothing is going to tear us apart." The Quartermain mansion, restored to its rightful place in Michael's hands, becomes the setting for new beginnings rather than old deceptions. As Sasha settles back into Port Charles' life with Daisy, the residents can finally begin healing from the wounds inflicted by lies and manipulation. The revelation that sometimes the most shocking truth is also the most healing one resonates throughout Port Charles, promising a future built on honesty rather than deception. Next, we dive deep into the electrifying resurrection of Nathan West and the whirlwind of suspicions, heartaches, and hidden agendas rippling through Port Charles. Jason Morgan's razor-sharp instincts are kicking into overdrive as he pieces together the bizarre puzzle of Nathan West's improbable comeback. A man long thought buried after Cesar Faison's fatal shot pierced his chest back in 2018, leaving fans reeling from the tragedy. Whispers around the hospital corridors suggest Jason has already cornered a few key players, probing into the logistics of how Nathan could emerge unscathed from what seemed like certain doom, perhaps involving underground medical experiments or a shadowy alliance that kept him off the grid for years. Adding layers to the intrigue, Jason's gaze has zeroed in on Britt Westburn's frantic efforts to shield young James West from this ghostly reunion, her pleas echoing with a mix of maternal protectiveness and unspoken dread that raises red flags for the stoic enforcer. Britt's hastily woven tale about protecting James's fragile emotions from such a seismic shock might have temporarily soothed Jason's immediate doubts during their tense exchange in the dimly lit hospital hallway. But as new fragments of the story trickle in, it's clear her words are unraveling like a poorly tied knot. Imagine Jason replaying that conversation late at night, his mind dissecting every hesitation in Britt's voice, every averted glance, fueling a growing conviction that she's guarding secrets far darker than sibling loyalty, maybe ties to international syndicates or personal vendettas that Nathan's return threatens to expose. This retrospective scrutiny could propel Jason into a covert investigation, tailing leads from Port Charles's underbelly to forgotten European hideouts where Nathan might have been holed up, reinventing himself away from the chaos. Undoubtedly, a pivotal breakthrough will stem from Damien Spinelli's heartfelt confession to his trusted ally, the unbreakable Jason. As the tech wizard grapples with the gut-wrenching reality of Nathan's revival, his affections for Maxie Jones as fierce and unwavering as they were on the day she mourned his supposed end. Spinelli's laptop screen flickers with encrypted files he's pulled on Nathan's disappearance, revealing cryptic communications hinting at staged deaths and forged identities, all while his heart aches over the prospect of Nathan reclaiming his place not just as James's biological father, but as the enduring flame in Maxie's life. Picture Spinelli pacing his cluttered apartment, fingers flying over keys to simulate family dynamics, only to crash into visions of Nathan cradling James, whispering promises of bedtime stories and father-son adventures that Spinelli has nurtured for years. The Rosario etched across Spinelli's features during that poignant hospital visit, as Nathan recounted his undying devotion to Maxie with eyes gleaming like the hero she once idolized, now twists into a daily torment, a churning dread that escalates with every beep of Maxie's monitors in her comatose state. What if she awakens to this living miracle, her wedding vows to Spinelli overshadowed by a marriage that death never truly dissolved, legal technicalities aside? The emotional bonds could shatter everything Spinelli holds dear. In this expanded turmoil, Spinelli might confide in a late-night call to Jason, voice cracking as he describes phantom scenarios, Maxie stirring, her first words a gasp of Nathan's name, while Spinelli stands frozen, ring glinting mockingly on his finger, questioning if his bold proposal was ever more than a desperate grasp at stability. As these haunting dilemmas bubble to the surface, Spinelli's composure frays into full-blown desperation, a spiraling vortex that could drive him straight to Jason's fortified doorstep, seeking the counsel of a man who's navigated love's treacherous waters amid bullets and betrayals. Jason, ever the anchor, might draw from his own storied past echoes of Sam McCall's divided loyalties or his unyielding protection of loved ones to offer Spinelli a lifeline, urging patience while subtly arming him with questions to pose to Nathan about those lost years. This alliance could evolve into clandestine strategy sessions at the Floating Rib, where over black coffee, they map out timelines, cross-referencing Nathan's tales against Britt's inconsistencies, potentially unearthing fabricated alibis or manipulated medical records that scream deception. For now, the tide of empathy flows strongly toward Nathan, with hospital staff and family alike enveloping him in warm embraces, despite the surreal circumstances of his return. A collective sigh of relief masking deeper undercurrents. Even when Spinelli mustered the courage to confront Nathan bedside, Britt's sharp intervention citing Nathan's vulnerability post-resurrection, his body still mending from phantom pains and psychological scars, swiftly ushered him away, prioritizing the prodigal son's recovery over immediate reckonings. Yet, this protective bubble can't inflate indefinitely. As Nathan's strength rebounds, perhaps through rigorous therapy sessions revealing flashes of suppressed memories from his exile, the excuses will thin, forcing a reckoning on how to integrate this phoenix into the family's fabric without fracturing it. Nathan himself pulses with a renewed vigor, his eyes alight with dreams of stepping fully into James's world, teaching him to ride a bike along the Port Charles docks or sharing tales of police academy triumphs, but he wisely tempers his enthusiasm, leaning on Spinelli's intimate knowledge of James's quirks, from favorite superheroes to bedtime rituals, to gauge the right pace for this delicate handover. In a fresh twist, envision Nathan gifting James a locket engraved with their initials, a symbol of reconnection that tugs at heartstrings but also stirs Spinelli's insecurities, prompting quiet observations of Nathan's interactions that hint at an almost rehearsed charm. This deference buys time, but it also sows seeds of doubt. As Nathan's subtle probes into Maxie's current life, casual questions about her daily routines or Spinelli's role betray a strategic mind plotting his full restoration. Meanwhile, the Scorpio household buzzes with unbridled joy, Mac and Felicia Scorpio toasting Nathan's survival with vintage scotch, their faces beaming as they recount long-lost family holidays that now feel within reach again, while Nina Reeves adds her journalistic flair, scribbling notes for a potential expose on miracle recoveries. Dante Falconeri, ever the steadfast cop, slaps Nathan on the back with brotherly pride, vowing to loop him back into precinct briefings on lingering face and threats. And Lulu Spencer, eyes misty with nostalgia, envisions group outings to the park where James can bond with his extended clan. This wave of celebration envelops Port Charles like a holiday cheer, but Spinelli lingers on the fringes, his solitude amplifying the isolation, until he finds solace in Jason's pragmatic ear, someone unbound by blood ties yet fiercely loyal. Spinelli holds no grudge against their relation, how could he, when Nathan's return mends so many shattered dreams? Yet he carves out a vital space to voice his fears. Perhaps during a shadowy meet-up with Jason at the bridge overlooking the harbor, where the rush of water mirrors his inner storm. Jason, with his unparalleled knack for sifting truth from deception, emerges as Spinelli's ultimate champion, ready to dissect the anomalies surrounding Nathan's saga and ensure the family's forward march doesn't trample the innocent. From scrutinizing surveillance footage of Nathan's arrival that shows unexplained gaps in transit logs, to cross-examining witnesses from the 2018 incident, Jason's probe could reveal engineered escapes or double agents pulling strings from afar. Jason's scrutiny intensifies on Britt, his piercing stare demanding answers about her improbable posting in a high-security Croatian lab, complete with an electronic ankle bracelet that screams covert operations rather than a simple escape from presumed mortality. Flashbacks in Jason's mind replay Britt's evasive chatter about experimental treatments and geopolitical espionage that funneled her there. But the pieces don't align. Why the monitor if she was dead? And how does it link to Nathan's vanishing act? As Britt lets slip more veiled warnings about Nathan, perhaps over a hurried coffee, her hands trembling as she alludes to personality shifts from his ordeal, Jason absorbs it all, then plants subtle seeds of caution with Spinelli, advising him to tighten his guardianship of James amid this merger. In this brewing storm, Jason might uncover a fabricated dossier on Nathan's exile, hinting at identity swaps or flamanded resurrections by enigmatic patrons, urging Spinelli to bide his time and fortify his bond with James through everyday heroics like science fair projects or late-night stargazing. The more Britt's narrative phrase may be a leaked email trail tying her to Nathan's handlers, the clearer it becomes that not everything glimmers as golden as the homecoming parade suggests, positioning Jason as the shadowy sentinel who could tip the scales before hearts break irreparably. As Port Charles teeters on this emotional precipice, one thing's certain: secrets this deep rarely stay buried, and Jason's unyielding pursuit promises fireworks ahead in the saga of love, loss, and resurrection. Next, we will learn about the electrifying debut of daytime legend Erica Slezak as the enigmatic Veronica Bard, shaking up the Quartermain legacy in ways no one saw coming. Fans of ABC's General Hospital have been buzzing with excitement ever since the surprise casting news dropped back in the balmy days of June 2025, teasing the return of the six-time daytime Emmy powerhouse Erica Slezak to the canvas after years away from the spotlight. Her much-anticipated episodes finally hit the airwaves on September 26th, a date that carried its own poetic twist since it marked the exact wrap of her on-set filming for this guest arc. Whispers among the Port Charles faithful had swirled for months, painting vivid pictures of Slezak stepping in as a long-lost sibling to the departed doctor. Monica Quartermain, perhaps a figure from the family's shadowy past who could unravel decades of carefully guarded secrets. The show's writers masterfully played with the intrigue, holding back official confirmation to let speculation ferment like a fine vintage wine, building tension that had viewers glued to their screens. When the reveal finally unfolded on September 29th, it arrived with the precision of a perfectly timed plot twist, centering on the Quartermain crypt, a hallowed ground where family ghosts linger eternally. Tracy Quartermain, ever the vigilant gatekeeper of her clan's history, wasn't about to tolerate an outsider encroaching on such sacred territory without a fierce interrogation. With her trademark steely gaze and unyielding poise, Tracy cornered the mysterious newcomer, demanding identification in a voice that echoed through the dimly lit mausoleum like a thunderclap. The woman, poised and unflappable, extended a gloved hand and introduced herself as Veronica Bard, revealing herself as Monica's hitherto unknown younger sister, a bombshell that hung in the air, heavier than the scent of aged stone and fresh flowers. "Feel free to call me Ronnie," she added with a disarming smile that softened the edges of the revelation, her eyes twinkling with a mix of nostalgia and quiet resolve. The name struck a chord deep within Tracy's memory banks. It transported her back to the gritty days when she'd commissioned a thorough background check on Monica during one of their infamous family feuds, uncovering fragments of a life the doctor had kept meticulously hidden. Ronnie's expression shifted to one of mild astonishment as she processed Tracy's recognition, confessing her bewilderment that Monica had never breathed a word of her existence to such close kin. This only fueled Tracy's inner fire, her mind racing through a catalog of potential deceptions, from elaborate cons to long-buried resentments bubbling to the surface after Monica's untimely passing. Undeterred by the skepticism radiating from Tracy like heat from a furnace, Ronnie delved into the backstory of their fractured bond, painting a picture of two sisters torn apart by the relentless tides of life in their youth. She recounted how professional ambitions and personal tragedies had driven a wedge between them decades ago, with Monica immersing herself in the high-stakes world of medicine in Port Charles, while Ronnie carved out a quieter path in a distant coastal town, perhaps one reminiscent of the serene, yet stormy shores of upstate New York. Their paths had diverged so sharply that reconciliation seemed like a distant dream, until a chance discovery of an old family heirloom prompted Ronnie to pen the first tentative letter about a year prior. Those exchanges started as cautious olive branches but blossomed into something deeper, sharing stories of triumphs and heartaches we'd both endured alone, Ronnie explained, her voice laced with genuine emotion that made the tale feel achingly real. Yet Tracy, seasoned by countless betrayals within her own bloodline, wasn't swayed by the heartfelt narrative. She pressed for tangible evidence, her words cutting like a scalpel. "You vanished for half a century only to swoop in now, eyeing our fortunes like a predator in the night." The accusation hung between them, charging the air with electric tension. Ronnie's composure cracked just enough to show her human side, a flicker of hurt crossing her features before she straightened her posture and reaffirmed her pure intentions. No claims on the Quartermain empire, no schemes for wealth or power. Her sole purpose, she insisted, was to honor Monica's memory in the most personal way possible. Drawn to the crypt on the day of the private memorial because public fanfare would have felt hollow and intrusive. To bolster her story, Ronnie evoked vivid memories of childhood summers spent with Monica, inventing tender details like shared secrets whispered under willow trees or collaborative dreams of changing the world through healing, elements that added layers of emotional depth to her character. Still, Port Charles' history of convoluted family reunions left Tracy unmoved. Every newcomer in this town carried the scent of ulterior motives, whether it be revenge plots or inheritance grabs disguised as sentiment. As the confrontation simmered toward an uneasy truce, the episode cut away, leaving audiences on pins and needles. Adding to the agony, network scheduling threw a curveball with 3 days of baseball preemptions, postponing the next chapter until October 3rd and allowing fan theories to explode across social media forums. When the storyline roared back to life, Ronnie found herself navigating the vibrant chaos of downtown Port Charles, savoring a solitary meal at the nostalgic Bobby's Diner, a spot steeped in community lore and whispered confessions. It was there, amid the clink of silverware and aroma of fresh coffee, that she crossed paths with the formidable Sonny Corinthos, whose piercing stare could unravel even the most guarded soul. Their brief exchange crackled with unspoken questions. Sonny, ever the intuitive kingpin, sensed layers beneath Ronnie's polished exterior, perhaps probing gently about her ties to the Quartermaines over a shared cup of espresso. Before any deeper revelations could surface, Ronnie received an urgent summons to the Quartermaine mansion for what she assumed was a casual condolence gathering, only to discover it was the formal reading of Monica's last will and testament. The room, adorned with antique furnishings and portraits of stern ancestors, filled with the extended Quartermaine brood, Michael, Ned, Brooklyn, and others, each arriving with their own blend of grief and guarded curiosity. As Alexis Davis, the unflappable attorney, unveiled Ronnie's presence, jaws dropped in unison. While initial shock rippled through the group, Jason Morgan's eyes narrowed in trademark suspicion, his enforcer instincts kicking in as he scanned for red flags. The true fireworks ignited when Alexis disclosed the will's staggering bequest. Monica had willed the sprawling Quartermaine estate outright to Ronnie, a gesture that stunned the room into stunned silence before erupting into chaos. Tracy, predictably, unleashed a verbal barrage, her tirade laced with barbs about opportunists and forgotten relatives resurfacing at the 11th hour, questioning Ronnie's authenticity with venomous precision. Undaunted, Ronnie responded with elegant restraint, her words measured and laced with quiet strength, drawing perhaps on imagined years of facing down corporate boardrooms in her own career as a philanthropist or counselor. She wove in new facets to her persona, mentioning a fabricated history of charitable work inspired by Monica's medical legacy, which momentarily softened a few faces in the crowd. Just as tempers began to cool and tentative bridges formed, the drama escalated with a thunderous knock at the door. Anna Devane and Detective Chase, armed with a search warrant tied to lingering questions surrounding Monica's death. Ronnie, channeling an unexpected legal savvy, halted their advance cold by insisting on a thorough reading of the document, her voice steady as she pored over the fine print. In a stroke of brilliant improvisation, Ronnie spotlighted a critical flaw. The warrant listed 65 Harborview Drive, while the Quartermaine manse stood proudly at 66, a clerical error that forced Anna's team to retreat, tails between their legs, buying Ronnie precious time and inadvertently earning a grudging nod of respect from Tracy. This savvy maneuver hinted at depths to Ronnie's background, perhaps inventing a past as a paralegal or self-taught investigator, adding intrigue to her sudden integration into the family fold. As the family dispersed, processing the whirlwind events, a subtle undercurrent of acceptance emerged. Michael, who had long been eyed as the natural heir to the mansion's grandeur, voiced his unwavering support for honoring Monica's wishes, quelling any immediate challenges. Even Ned, usually a stickler for protocol, extended an olive branch, suggesting Ronnie join them for a private dinner to share more about her life with Monica. Yet beneath the surface civility, shadows loomed. Whispers of will tampering circulated like wildfire, fueled by the Quartermaine's notorious battles over estates. From ELQ shares to hidden offshore accounts, could Monica's final act have been coerced, or was it a deliberate test of her loved one's loyalty? This burgeoning Quartermaine saga pulses with the classic elements that make General Hospital a daytime dynasty: layers of deception, heartfelt reunions, and the ever-present specter of betrayal. Fans, long starved for fresh blood in the iconic family dynamic, are devouring every frame, speculating wildly on Ronnie's true role. Is she a benevolent savior or a wolf in sheep's clothing? Erica Slezak's commanding presence elevates the narrative, her nuanced performance evoking golden neurosopes where every glance carried volumes. For those who cherished her as Victoria Lord on One Life to Live, the echoes are irresistible, the fierce maternal instincts, the unshakable moral compass clashing against adversaries like the scheming Dorian, and the raw vulnerability in battling personal demons, such as abuse and dissociative identity disorder. On GH's stage, Slezak mirrors those traits, seamlessly sparring verbally with Tracy and scenes crackling with wit, offering sage counsel to a conflicted Michael over late-night scotch, and hinting at inner turmoil through subtle mannerisms. Imagine the twist if Ronnie embodied a fragmented alter ego from Vicky's storied psyche, blurring the lines between Port Charles and Longview in a men-ode to soap heritage.